In the case of the following unquestionably epic, gloriously entertaining, or deeply underappreciated showcases of in-ring action, few would deny that they all deserve to be saluted as a lost cult favourite just waiting to be rediscovered. Well, you are in luck, because I am Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestling matches that deserve to become cult classics, but didn't. Number 10, a 5-minute hardcore clinic, WWE Raw 2001. Rob Van Dam put his recently won hardcore belt on the line against Tajiri on the July 30th, 2001 edition of Raw, and the end results were about as wonderful as you can imagine. During a 5-minute or so sprint of a contest, the pair brilliantly showed off their mesmerizing martial arts prowess, laced in a few cheeky character beats, including an RVD taunt being met by a sweetly timed superkick, and the sort of jaw-dropping innovation you'd expect of these two creative souls. Rather than completely pulverizing each other with relentless high spots and excessive chair shots, the opponents picked their spots marvelously, with both a lovely chair-assisted baseball slide corner dropkick and handspring kick from the Japanese buzzsaw, leaving the fans in attendance in a state of brief euphoria. The duo were even able to sneak a bit of technical brilliance on the mat too. In the age of bite-sized content, you'll struggle to find a 5-minute piece of action as rewarding as RVD and Tajiri's Monday Night Should Be cult classic Rush. Number 9, a Survivor Series match for the ages, WWE Survivor Series 2016. It's safe to say that the Survivor Series hasn't exactly thrown out a great many instant classic traditional 5-on-5 elimination battles over the last decade. Sure, there has been the odd 2019 men's highlight, but away from that, has any match really stood out as a truly outstanding piece of work in the last 10 years? The answer is obviously yes, though you'd be forgiven for not being quick to remember the fact that 2016's Men's Survivor Series War was up there with the very best of them. It may have stretched on for a staggering 52 minutes, but Team Raw and Team SmackDown just did not let up at any point throughout. The All-Star and Shane McMahon underappreciated hit saw Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton's new Wyatt family continue their then compelling ongoing tale. Oh, that was a time. All three former brothers of the Shield colliding and bizarrely teaming up on AJ Styles at various points, an excitable Shane being taken down a peg by a pissed off Chris Jericho, and the son of the boss also being speared into oblivion by the Big Dog. Hell, you even had the hilariously odd visual of Blue Team mascot James Ellsworth eliminating Braun Strowman via countout. Sure, KO getting eliminated after wielding the list of Jericho was a bit of a letdown, but away from that small lowlight, this utterly stacked battle of the WWE Titans deserves way more love than it currently receives. Number 8, Asuka and Emma rip it up in London, NXT TakeOver London. Rivaling just about any of her subsequent epics with Bayley, Ember Moon and Nikki Cross, Asuka's second TakeOver showcase in London opposite Emma sits as an often forgotten reminder of just how damn excellent both talented women can be on their day. With a super hot crowd fully invested in each and every beat, the eventual NXT Women's Champion felt like as much of a terrifying wrestling machine as she ever has, all while Emma more than held her own against the frightening worker, locking in some rather imaginative submissions and fully embracing the level of aggression and cunning needed to take down a force like Asuka. A highly physical struggle from start to finish, complete with a thrilling closing stretch boasting some genuinely creative twists. This lost gem of a TakeOver great is a cult classic in everything but name. Number 7, John Silva is freshly squeezed, AEW Full Gear 2020. Easily sitting as two of AEW's most beloved cult favourites heading into the second ever Full Gear pay-per-view, Tony Khan chose to give the people precisely what they wanted by having Orange Cassidy and John Silva collide on the stacked 2020 card. A 1-hour 5-star classic this was never gonna be, but if you're looking for a sub 10-minute character stuff showcase, then TK had you covered and then some, buddy. Providing the perfect lazy-ass foil for the Dark Order ball of insane electricity, Cassidy's effortless piss-taking and Silva's increasingly infuriative reactions set the stage for an absolutely explosive slice of fun. Johnny Hungy literally ate the man's pockets, and that still wasn't the balmiest part of this best kind of madness. Single-armed gorilla presses, typically pop-worthy Stundog millionaire reversals, and a breathless pace all showcase why both cherished figures more than earned their place alongside the likes of Omega Page and Moxley Kingston on the night. As far as explosive, tight bangers go, sorry Taz, this doesn't get anywhere near the level of love the simultaneously hard-hitting and hilarious mini-epic deserves. Number 6, Booker beats the best there is, WCW Nitro 1999. While his spell as part of World Championship Wrestling is more commonly remembered for the bizarre way the Hitman was ultimately booked, Bret Hart could still be counted on to produce the in-ring goods when given the right opportunity to showcase what he was. And that is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And one example of these often forgotten pieces of evidence that he could most definitely still produce unquestionable magic under the right circumstances went down on February 22nd, 1999's edition of WCW Monday Nitro. A fired-up Booker T made it his mission to take down the Icon in his quest to become #1 contender to Scott Hall's Raw's US title, and the end result saw the super athletic rising star bring the very best out of the former WWE champion. Despite Hart trying every trick in the book to keep the superstar of tomorrow from picking up the sort of momentum that made him a force too impressive to ignore, Book finished off one hell of a babyface comeback by overcoming both a monstrous superplex and the bloody sharpshooter to eventually seal the unexpected victory with a brilliant roll-up reversal. Two all-time greats putting on a hidden gem of a clinic that definitely merits a watch when you get a chance. Number 5, 4 Big Meaty Men walk into Brooklyn, WWE SummerSlam 2017. Some folks want masterful displays of technique and compelling storytelling from their wrestling. Others, like a certain Big E, are happy enough witnessing some big meaty men slapping meat. And if you fall into that hulking category, then you'll struggle to find a more underrated serving of colossal heavyweight chaos than the one delivered to fans inside of the Barclays Center and around the world on the night of SummerSlam 2017. Simply deciding to dump the heaviest hitters on Raw into a blockbuster battle to decide who was worthy of wearing the ugliest world title in the game, WWE had Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns beat the stuffing out of each other for 20 mesmerizing minutes. There were no mat struggles or intricate chain wrestling sequences to be found here, folks. This was 4 kaijus breathing fire and wrecking their surroundings in the pursuit of world title glory and maximum destruction. Like any adored cult action movie, this one was all explosions and fireworks, resulting in a breathless main event war that felt like the wrestling equivalent of a sherbet sugar rush. Number 4, a main event Shield Wyatt entry, WWE Main Event 2014. Going head to head on multiple occasions during their rise as WWE stars of the future, the Wyatt family and the Shield consistently found themselves at the center of 6-man showings that left audiences with their minds utterly blown. And while their Raw and Elimination Chamber masterpieces understandably have become the stuff of legend when recalling the epic trio's early days in the company, there was actually another lesser talked about encounter involving the groups that has been all but forgotten by even the most passionate of Wyatt Shield supporters. The fact said bout went down on none other than WWE Main Event likely has something to do with that. But don't be put off by its placement on the C-Show. The talents involved were still, you know, bloody out of this world on their day, and April 8, 2014 was one of those days. Unexpectedly awesome latest round for the rival unit saw the Wyatt, particularly the late great Brody Lee in fine sadistic form, grinding down on the explosive set of future world champions throughout. And it was the faction's seemingly never-ending punishing of Dean Ambrose that ultimately set up a typically captivating closing sequence involving countless breathtaking reversals, flips, and interceptions. A main event level riot unfortunately hidden away on, well, Main Event. Number 3, Kairi and Shayna's 2 out of 3 falls clash, NXT TakeOver War Games 2. On a night that also boasted a number of other simply outrageously fantastic in-ring showings, NXT TakeOver War Games also gave fans the frequently neglected blow-off between Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. Warring over the NXT Women's Championship under a 2 out of 3 fall stipulation, this conclusion to the Rivals series just about topped what came before it, though it's still nowhere near as praised as some of the other TakeOver cult hits that helped immortalize the stellar black and gold events. Getting a dominant reign off to a fittingly dastardly start, the Queen of Spades overcame an early burst of trademark Pirate Queen energy to pick up the first fall thanks to her MMA pals at ringside. Not allowing that early setback to derail the fiery resilient former champ though, Sane somehow squirmed and battled against the odds to level the scores with the dropping of an insane elbow for the ages. A late intervention from the unit that would ultimately become Damage Control still couldn't keep Baszler from stealing a heartbreaking win, however, thanks to one hell of an inspired insane roll-up. But this 10-minute rollercoaster is well worth a revisit and should be spoken about more when discussing the golden era of NXT. Number 2, Jurassic Express make a case for All Out, AEW Dynamite 2021. With AEW pumping so many unbelievable in-ring showcases onto the likes of Dynamite and Rampage each and every year, it's becoming harder and harder to forge a genuine classic that sits head and shoulders above the rest. And while the teams would eventually go on to produce a slightly more memorable ladder encounter later down the road, the Young Bucks and Jurassic Express first meeting over the AEW World Tag Team Championships also acts as an overlooked masterpiece that initially left many wondering why the challengers weren't thrown into another round at All Out in 2021. Nick and Mac Jackson were having the time of their damn lives healing it up throughout, body spraying and eating all kinds of crap from an increasingly over Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. A terrifically executed piece of business, crammed full of delicious near falls and a reminder of just how close to being truly elite the Jurassic twosome were at the time. Those cries to see the babyfaces get a deserved second shot soon dwindled away on the back of the Bucks all-timer against the Lucha Bros at the pay-per-view. Had that steel cage epic not gone down though, there's a solid chance all elite fans will still be passionately screaming about this should-be cult tag hit today. Number 1, Bret and the Bulldogs other epic, WWE In Your House 5 Seasons Beatings 1995. When the names Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith pop up in conversation, action, the average wrestling lover will quickly turn their minds to the SummerSlam spectacle the two put on back in 1992. And rightly so. The Wembley Stadium Classic is up there as one of the most iconic moments in WWE history, but it's actually not the best bout the two icons ever put on in the middle of the squared circle. That honor belongs to the lesser watched WWE Championship showdown that went down between the masterful pair a few years later at In Your House 5 Seasons Beatings. A technically sharper and far more brutal contest in general, the visual of a vicious British Bulldog literally smelling blood in the water upon busting open his brother-in-law was enough to leave those watching on covering their eyes at the horror unfolding before them. Hart's world-class selling, not even being able to properly lock in his sharpshooter in a desperate snatch at victory, had some convinced that there was simply no way back for their battered hero. But the excellence of execution still had just enough left in the tank to squeeze out one of the most hard-fought wins in company history, and one that isn't cherished nearly as much as it should be. And that's our list of any other wrestling matches that deserve to become cult classics but didn't. Then let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and go and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you're a fan of this kind of thing, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic articles just like the one this video you are watching right now is based on. I have been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you as always for watching this lovely video today. Hopefully it becomes a cult classic too, but in the meantime, just be good to yourself. Bye bye!